Next up, we're really just absolutely thrilled for this next panel. It's our Internet Safety Roundtable. And as parents, you know that kids have a natural curiosity when it comes to all things, especially the Internet. We're raising a digital generation of kids who are naturally curious and comfortable with the Internet, yet often unaware that what they do or say online can have consequences in real life. In turn, they're taking bigger risks when it comes to online sexting, cyberbullying, file sharing, and socializing on the web. Kids can also be savvy enough to bypass parental controls and filters when they want to access something they shouldn't. Keeping up with kids is not as tough as it sounds. There are a variety of new technologies designed to help parents keep their kids safe online. But something that parents also need to be aware of is that they must participate in their child's online education and help kids make smarter choices and become more critical thinkers online. Here to kick off this discussion is someone who knows this all too well. Hemu Nigam, Chief Security Officer of MySpace. As a veteran in the online security market, he has served as a federal prosecutor against Internet child exploitation and computer crime for the U.S. Department of Justice. He also served as Director of Child Safe Computing at Microsoft, as VP of Worldwide Internet Enforcement at the Motion Picture Association of America, and served on the White House Cyber Stalking Task Force. He serves on multiple online safety advisory boards and was recently appointed by the Commerce Secretary to co-chair a federal online safety task force. Please give a warm welcome to Hemu Nigam.
Thanks. Thanks a lot. One thing that's interesting is we always do round tables, but we never actually sit in a round table, so we should start calling them straight tables.
Straight tables.
Not
or
because
long tables.
What was that?
Long tables.
Or long tables. Can we play, before we start, I'm actually going to have a video played, and then after you see the video, we're going to all tie it back together on why you're seeing a video, the one that you're going to actually see. And it's a PSA that we put together with our partner iKeepSafe, and I know their exec directors here, Marcelly Hancock, a couple years back, and it reached over 150 million television viewers. I was going to say television viewers online, but it's actually television viewers. So let's do that first, if we can, Paula.
The first time she went to the park alone, you told her not to talk to strangers. When you taught her to drive, you told her to wear her seatbelt. What can you tell her about the Internet? The world may have changed, but the lessons are still the same. Don't stop the dialogue. Visit ikeepsafe.org to learn how.
The name of the video was Don't Stop the Dialogue. And it's a video that takes the world of a child and watches her grow from just being a child to being a teenager. And the message at the end of it, and a mother and a father who are teaching her how to drive, they're teaching her how to go to the park with friends, teaching her not to talk to strangers. And then eventually it's, you've done this dialogue all your life with your teens and your kids, now have the same dialogue in the online world. And I think what we're going to do by the time we leave here is we want everyone to feel comfortable that as much as there's things going on that worry us, we should also remember that we don't need to freak out as parents and as a society. And we often talk about the virtual world as different and apart from the physical world. But frankly, the reality is our kids don't. Our kids see this as one world for them. I mean, people like us, we grew up sitting at a computer, looking underneath and saying, is it connected to the Internet? None of your kids will ever do that. They don't think like that. That computer is the Internet for them, or that digital device is the connection to the rest of the world, versus that question we always ask. It's okay.
I know.
We always ask, which is it connected? And before I go into what our speakers have done in their own companies and in their own environments, I want to spend just a minute talking about what we did at MySpace to give you some comfort about how this is more about a holistic approach in society where parents, society, governments, technology companies, vendors, we're all working together to find the right solutions so that this one world that we live in is truly one safe world for our kids. Just a few things to point out. We look at every image and video that gets posted on our site. When we find a bad one, we fingerprint it and make sure it doesn't come back up again. And we do it proactively. We review discussion groups using keywords, searching for bad ones, And once we find it, we'd review, delete them, and sometimes even turn them over to law enforcement. We remove registered sex offenders, the technology we built, but we make it available to the rest of the industry so that they don't get on the site. And oftentimes we're finding their probation terms say you can't use the internet, and this is used by law enforcement to go after them. Then we also do something I think is going to be interesting in this room. Most people don't know that many of these sites are for 13 years and older. I don't know, most people think, oh, you can go on MySpace, you can go on Facebook if you're 10 years old. The reality is it's actually against our terms. And we use search algorithms looking for kids who are under 13 and deleting them. And we also set default settings where adults can't talk to younger kids on our site as some of the things that stop that communication. And we do that because in the physical world, a 13-year-old will go into a mall and she'll see a creepy guy. And she'll say, oh, creepy guy, and she'll go the other way. In the online world, they may not have that exact same face-to-face opportunity that you would in the physical world, so we're trying to figure out how to take that physical world learning and bring into the online environment. And then finally, we collaborate with law enforcement and NGOs, nonprofits and safety advocates, making sure that we are available to them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, in case anything does happen. So what I'd like to, and the reason I'm pointing all this out is really to send that message home of not freaking out. And we're going to spend the next 50 minutes now talking about those types of reasons, what's being done, and then also having a pretty serious dialogue and hopefully an exchange between our panelists. Because when we were in the back room prepping, panelists had a lot to say. And they look very quiet right now because they're being respectful, but there's a lot to say. And the key here, though, is you're going to see that institutions all around the country and the world are taking great strides to do things just like we do in the physical world. So now let me introduce the panelists. And what I'm going to do first is just introduce the panelists, and I'm going to do them randomly so nobody feels like they've got to go first. First is, at the end, is Stephen Toulouse, who's the director of Xbox, is director of policy and enforcement on Microsoft's Xbox Live service. Stephen's group works to help protect the experience on Xbox Live for its users through direct enforcement of the terms of use, working with law enforcement where appropriate, and helping to educate parents and users on safety and family settings. So, Stephen, welcome. Next is Marion Merritt. How strange. You're sitting exactly the way this random order was.
We planned it.
Marion brings a decade of Internet security product development to her role as Internet safety advocate at Symantec Corporation. As a mother of three, am I touching something I shouldn't? With no volume, though.
I know.
That doesn't really matter.
Yes. Let's go back up. I'm so sorry.
You can play it. They can watch it.
There we go.
How fun.
Okay.
As a mother of three school-aged children, she began championing on behalf of cyber safety after realizing her community was divided between parents who tended to lag behind in technology and their children who, frankly, just embraced it. Marion meets regularly with teachers, parents, and children to discuss Internet issues. She's also consulting with the Norton product teams to ensure that meaningful parental controls are integrated into Norton software products. So welcome, Marion. Adam Thayer. This is really funny because you are next. Adam Thayer is president of the Progress and Freedom Foundation, where he analyzes public policy developments that impact the economic and social aspects of the media industry, including related First Amendment issues and child safety concerns. Adam has served as a member of the Harvard Internet Safety Technical Task Force, and he currently serves on the NTIA's Online Safety and Technology Working Group, the one that I chair. And he has a 250-page special report on parental controls and online child protection, a survey of tools and methods in its 4th edition. You can hold it up if you want.
Here we go.
It's okay to show off.
Free of charge.
And then finally, Carol Carpenter is Executive General Manager of Trend Micro. And she's part of the Consumer and Small Business Unit at Trend Micro, where she is responsible for delivering innovative security products and services to protect